and start letting some attendees in.
I'll cut it short, but I'll start at like 5 minutes so people can
Okay.
hear this one song.
Perfect. I will put myself on mute.
Okay, myself as well.
And if you want to start, oh, yep, you got it. Screen share.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to welcome everybody in. We're going to do a little virtual session today. I'll go over kind of a few different things that I went through yesterday or Monday, and just kind of recap some of this stuff and do a Q&A. We'll let people pile in, and while people are coming in, we'll do a little countdown and a couple tunes. You guys have some music to enjoy while you wait for us to go live. Okay.
I'm a later sage time, the way I was brought up in the abalone shell. As I light up my offer, how I hit that guardrail, I almost laid in a coffin. Might tip the Libra scales, but I'm just weighing my options. Many times in life we'll hit a fork in the road, so I left my family up and I pray for my foes. I'm not appreciating highs without accepting my lows, because ain't no man's comfort coexisting with growth, and that's facts. And I just wanna say all that to say, I'ma say all that to say, no matter where I'm at, I'm saying I'll never wait on that, no, never. I pull my weight in verbs. If I imagine I'm a pun, I'ma play on words. Now I better claim my worth. I'm scared of indigenous people that came first. We gon' break through. Word on my mama, I'll make sure I praise you for healing from trauma that ain't yours. Perpetuating problems, a drug dealing crash course, perpetuating trauma. But I'ma straighten my life out, I swear your honor. I'm sleeping in the darkness as I look for silver linens. All I find is silver linings as I focus on my vision. I found the God in me, and ain't nobody higher. So life is what you make it. Got me and my designers, yeah. sits on this undervalued lot. It's been abandoned with the lowest asking random, but it's not on the market for anyone who would buy it, for anything in your pockets and whatever's inside them. You live your life as a sellout, then you'll never define it, and you'll never develop, and you'll never design it. I wanted to change, but there ain't no way I could do it alone. I was locked in a cage, in the feds, all alone, away from my friends, away from my fam, away from my home. I know I did wrong, but this isn't life in the way that I've known. I'll blaze a new path, I'll build a new life while I'm changing my ways. Then people would talk, look at them now, I bet it'll fade. You can like it or not, when look at my past, I'm better today. Living my life, I'll bet on my fate. I've got a new walk and I bet it'll stay. It may be right, it may be wrong, it's all in my mind. I found my zone, I found myself, I found my own, I found myself, I found my own. It may be right, it may be wrong, it's all in my mind. I found my zone, I found myself, I found my home, I found myself, my home. You feeling lost? Go find yourself.
All right, thank you very much for that awesome countdown, James. My name is Hillary Pressican. I am the host for this awesome webinar series. I am the Program Manager of Community Development for the Native Arts Professional Development and PD program at First Peoples Fund. I wanted to thank everybody for joining our webinar series today. The newly created FPF Resilience webinar series has been developed to continue our work to enhance the business and entrepreneurial skills of Native artists and culture bearers, as well as expand our virtual community during these rapidly changing times. In this bi-weekly webinar series, First Peoples Fund and our nationally recognized Native Arts Professional Development Trainers, or NAPD trainers, will deliver values-based, topic-focused webinars on Mondays, followed by technical assistant office hours like today on Wednesdays, to follow up on and answer any questions regarding the Monday webinar. This will be the last webinar for the month of July for the Resilience webinar series with our NAPD trainers, but we do have some really cool programming happening in August. And I hope everybody has a moment to, be able to check out and take part in. On August 10th and 12th, we have Ben Sherman, Oglala Lakota, who's going to be doing a webinar series week on marketing your Native art into the travel and tourism industry. And then on August 24th and 26th, we have a business plan focused with David Fleming. So we will have, we have that information on our website, and the next week, we'll also have a Facebook event for people to register as well. So please check that out when you can. But on top of what's going on within the Resilience webinar series, we have the Rolling Res Arts program, which is dedicated to bring folks in Indian country and the surrounding communities the expertise and disciplines of artists within the First Peoples Fund family. And we have an awesome program manager, Brian Parker, who does one day out of the month on Wednesdays. He does On the Virtual Road with Rolling Res Arts, and next month will be Cynthia Masterson on Wednesday, August 5th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And then we have he'll also be hosting, Saturday Art Live on August 22nd with the Blue Dog Group and Jadia El Gray Eagle from 5 p.m. until 6:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Our fellowship applications are open and the deadline's been extended. We also have the Community Spirit Award nominations on July 31st. The deadline for both of those applications is August 31st, 2020, but I believe there's been an extension. Sorry, I do not have that in front of me, but I will add it into Zoom and into the Facebook chat box. It's been extended. So I guess check that out. And again, for more information, please check out our Facebook page or our First Peoples Fund website. Just a few reminders to everyone listening before we start that this is a recorded webinar, and we will have this up on our Facebook Live account within 48 hours after this webinar is completed. Anybody on Zoom, please keep yourself muted. And after James is done presenting, we'll get everybody together virtually speaking to have a dialogue of what was covered and answer any questions you may have. The Wednesday webinar is 30 minutes of James presenting and sharing his knowledge with a 30-minute Q&A from the questions I'll be collecting off of Zoom as well as off of Facebook Live. So please don't hesitate on both platforms to reach out to me, and I will share any questions you have. Before I start this webinar, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land that First Peoples Fund is on and where I'm calling from while hosting this webinar is on Lakota land and part of the Oshete-Shakowin and the sacred Hisapa Black Hills. I also recognize that many of you participating in this live webinar or are watching this recording come from many places near and far, and I want to acknowledge the traditional lands and caregivers of those lands that you are on as well. And now it is my honor to introduce James Pakootas from the Colville Nation on navigating our new world and the performing arts virtual office hour. Thank you, James.
Hey, sorry about that. My dog is getting sick right next to me in this very moment. Tichas Kanchkich, Kwalam Lam Tiatukutya is the Kanchut James Pakootas. I'd also like to hold space right now and acknowledge the Spokane people. I'm calling in from Spokane, Washington. Spokane, Washington is, oh, Tuffers, my baby boy. He's not feeling too good. We'll get to you in a second, buddy. I'm sorry. But the Spokane people in Spokane, Washington is occupied territory of where the Spokane tribe, Spokane tribe, ancestral lands reside. And I'd also like to hold space and lift up the Kalispel tribe, the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and the Colville Confederated Tribes, which are our local tribes that are all in these surrounding areas. And we have a lot of different tribal members that frequent Spokane and this whole region. So definitely want to lift up all of our people. And I touched base on and went really deep Monday on performing arts. And today I'll recap some of that stuff, but I won't go as deep as I did Monday. And I'll just give you guys kind of like the clef notes and go through the slideshow a little bit and kind of dive into more of the important points that I have a lot more experience in, so I can give you a lot more in-depth information that I've gathered just from life experience and knowledge and schooling that I've done as well. So let's jump right back into it. I'm going to share my screen real quick and pull up the slideshow, and we'll present this. Okay, so now the performing arts section is just one section of a larger series and a larger training that we do for Native artist professional development with First Peoples Fund. I'm a certified trainer through First Peoples Fund, and we go around to different Native communities and we teach Native artists how to take their business more seriously. If they want to be a little bit more lucrative with their side business, we can help them kind of tighten up their budgets and think about some ways to expand. And then also, like, which I really took heart to, was taking that leap to be a professional performing artist. When I first got introduced to First Peoples Fund, I didn't have a website, I didn't have business cards, and I was telling people, like, you know, I think I'm an artist, you know. And now to having website, business cards, you know, a press kit, and having a resume with gigs and performances lined up, to where now I have a real market value for any festivals or shows or concerts that I want to produce myself, or if I want to go work with a presenter. I have all the tools that I need now. And if you're early getting into this, please don't be discouraged by any of this information. If it seems like it's coming really fast or it's a little bit over your head at this point. When I first walked through the doors of FPF and went in I was sitting, like, not exactly where you're sitting because I was in a classroom, but when I was being taught, it was really overwhelming, you know. But I just allowed myself to sit with the information. And then the next meeting that they had, I had business cards, and that's all I had, you know. And the next meeting that they had, you know, months later, this is like, the 3 meetings were over a period of 7 or 8 months. So 7 or 8 months later, I had business cards and I had a website. And then here we go, a year down the road, I become a trainer, and this has been a process. So don't feel like you have to go after this stuff overnight, or don't feel like this stuff is over your head and this doesn't apply to you, because this can apply to even visual artists as well. We got to think about how we present our work, and we can do so with this curriculum involved. So in the performing arts curriculum, we go over this, the ins and outs of self-producing, co-producing, working with presenters, mapping your tour, booking agents and artist managers, basics of contracts and insurance. And then I added in the section of adapting to COVID, considering for performing arts, our world's kind of upside down right now. So we've got to be really creative. We got to be really innovative with the ways that we present our work and the ways that we create our work, because we have a new world in front of us, and we've got to figure out how to navigate that new world. And we don't have any promises that it's going, the ways in which presenters and the ways in which artists are going to operate. We're not promised that it's going to go back to this like normal that we had before COVID broke. So, you know, let's just continue to evolve. Let's continue to adapt. Let's continue to navigate this together. Again, self-producing is those performing artists that have created a body of work, that have created something that they want to show to the world, and they're taking all of the risk and all of the work on themselves to be able to present this to the world. You can see some of these venues on the slideshow. Another one that's a really viable resource in a lot of our communities are coffee shops. These are spaces where people are coming in and out of, and a lot of them are nice, trendy little places, so you can get, you know, a nice eclectic little vibe there as well. So please, you know, if you don't have that on your list, please add it as well. The pros and cons of self-producing are, you know, the pros, the positives to that is you get more control over your presentation and your marketing. You get to develop that yourself rather than fitting in the confines of what a presenter is doing a call for artists, and they need this specific scope of work to be presented to the world. Rather, you get to take that into your own hands, do that yourself. Let me turn down my phone so I don't get, there we go. So that way I don't get interrupted. But yeah, you get to create all those marketing materials. So it's your taste, your flavor, your control, which I see a lot of value in because I'm a creator. You know, I'm not just a performing artist. I'm not saying that I'm any type of professional photographer or film director or anything of the above, but I do feel like I am a creative. I am an artist, and I do have value in these things. They may not be in and out professional, but I do love every part of production and creation. So that really speaks to me as a pro of being able to have control over how I represent myself to the world. You get to create your own track record to help interest presenters, which is another thing that I did. I didn't have a platform when I wanted to become an artist, when I wanted to become a speaker. I didn't have an audience. I didn't have a platform. I was still trying to figure out my story. So it was really, and for me, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. So for me to have control over some of these spaces that I perform in is paramount for me. So I'm not going to go to a Friday night, you know, dance club that serves a whole bunch of alcohol and run the risk of someone getting hurt or someone getting in an accident from drunk driving, because I'm also, you know, I'm recovering from a drunk driving accident as well. So I have these values that are mine and solely for me as a performing artist, and being able to control the spaces in which I present my work is another valuable piece of control that I have over my career. So I get to say that doing self-production work, I get to say when and where I perform as well. You can gain experience and test new material, and potentially there's more income. You still have to fill those seats. You still have to sell those tickets, you know, and you still have to take on the cost of renting the space, which gets into some of these cons. You know, this can get expensive, especially when you think of clubs, when we open back up for COVID, they're going to come at capacity rates that aren't going to be 100% capacity. They're going to open at 50%. They're going to open at 75%, a lowered capacity rate, which means they're not going to have as many people. So it may up the cost of renting tables and chairs when you rent that space. If you're self-producing, like, you've got to take on all of these costs, and you assume 100% of that risk. So take that in mind in this new world that's opening up. If you're thinking of self-production, think of those positives and think of those cons, and then put those together and see, after all of that, is that value there? Really get this down on paper. And every move in performing arts, I try to get everything down on paper now, so that there's no guessing game. When I get to that guessing game, then that means I'm guessing with my career, and I took that leap about 9 or 10 months ago. So I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't have any security. I don't have 401k to fall back on. I have to be very careful with my career, and there's no more guesswork involved for me. I'm laying out plans and constructing these shows and building this visibility and all of these things in mind, that this has got to bring income, so I've got bills, and I've got a family to feed as well. So this is all very important. There's no more guesswork in this for me. I'll skip this. I showed it Monday. You guys can go to my YouTube and view this, but I don't have a presence here in Spokane. So let's say you are an emerging artist and you want to self-produce and you want to do these shows. So now you do these shows and you've got to rent out the space, or you partner with that space and they give, they get a discount, or they take some money off the top of these ticket sales. You still have to fill those seats. You still have to sell those tickets. So in my experience, the best way to create that presence is to start being active in your community. Start going to community events, go to your city hall and see what opportunities are available. And I went out, there was a brand here that I'm working with for a jacket release, a hat release that you see right here, a shirt release that was aligned with my songs. And so while he wanted to do a photo shoot, I brought my nephew with me, and I showed you guys Monday, but I went and got like this little, what it's called is a gimbal. So it's a phone stabilizer. I got a couple different models, so we could run two phones at once, 2 different kinds. But you stick your phone right on this thing, and you're able to go around and get these nice, smooth, sweeping shots, do these curves, and do all these things, so it really looks professional. This is all done from a phone, you guys. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my process in creating this video too, because we just seized an opportunity. There was a photo shoot happening while I was wearing the clothing, and my nephew came with me and did some of these shots while we were, just shooting photography. And then we turned it into a videography, and I released that in my city so that people could see that I'm creating art. I've only been here a year. There's probably 3/4 of the city that don't even know who I am yet. So how am I going to fill these seats if they don't know who I am? So create that presence as you're moving forward. When self-producing, you got to ask yourself a few questions, when getting into this. You got to see if self-producing is the right move for you, and really this is about like getting that target audience, who's going to be interested in my work. And don't be afraid to, here, let me pull my notes up too, because I wrote a couple notes on this. And as far as all this self-production and stuff goes, when picking a space, city, or region to produce your work, think of this audience that frequency spaces, as well as your current audience that you already have. What do they do to work, create, live, and play? Search for those connecting lines to make your pieces more impactful, because you got to remember that we're always trying to grow our audience, and a beautiful way to grow that audience is to build that genuine connection with them. The biggest piece that I will touch on and continue to touch on is the importance and the value in relationship building and relationship maintaining, right? Because we can build a relationship and that's all good, but if we don't continually communicate or anything, that can fall apart. And this is especially true in our professional avenues as well. So really And it's not just presenters, it's not just other artists, it's with your audience as well. Because once you learn how they create, how they live, how they play, that can give you ideas on what kind of spaces you want to present in. Because let's say they're outdoorsy, we'll find some outdoorsy spaces to do some performances in so that you can draw these people in. You want to connect these lines of your performance and their daily activities of living and being. So think on that as you continue to produce your own shows in your own communities. Sorry, I'm just organizing my desk. Some more questions to ask, and let's get some of these. This is more about dealing with the venues and dealing with the spaces and dealing with the performance itself. Is how much income am I going to need to cover the rent, the marketing, the production support, and my time? Your time is valuable. We do these breakdown analyses in our trainings in other sections. And often once we start breaking things down, we've got 6 different formulas that we use through First People's Funds. Into these, 6 different methods for pricing. We start realizing that we're paying ourselves like, $1.25 an hour or $3 an hour. So really like getting in line and making sure you put all of these costs in there. Put all of your costs into this budget going into it. If you got to pay for parking because you're in downtown city or something like that, make sure you add that to the cost, the gas, the mileage that it takes to get there, the food you consume, as long as you're going out to the place, back from the place, any cost, as soon as you leave the house out to do that, and as soon as you go back in the door, make sure you put these in there, because then that way you can start to evaluate, is the price that I'm asking for my performances going to keep me alive and fed and able to thrive in this career? Because that's ultimately important. It's great to perform and do a lot of work out in the communities, but once we give and we give and we give and we don't get enough back in return, we start to give from a place that becomes self-harm, because we're not giving from a place that has anything to give. Once we have nothing to give and we're still giving, that's when it can turn into resentment and bitterness, and our art can suffer because of that. So yeah, it's just a couple tips in the financial part that I really adhere to, so that when I go out and perform, I'm giving my all, and I know I'm getting my asking price. And when I know I'm getting my asking price, and I know that going into this, that I've taken the steps necessary to produce a good show, I'm going to be on stage and I'm going to perform and I'm going to connect with my crowd at a much deeper and more impactful level. So just things to think about. I shared Monday about ticket income, and I'm going to share this again because this is going to be a way that things are changing in our world. And this is Ray Zaragoza, 2018 First People's Fund Artist and Business Leadership winner. She just released the new single, The It Girl. Powerful, powerful song, powerful concept. The reason why I shared her ticket sales, and tomorrow she has a show from her refrigerator in her apartment. So that's why I'm sharing this, is because her tour is different spaces in her apartment. So like I was talking about at the beginning, to be creative, to be innovative, to be able to survive in this world that we don't know what's going to be next, is going to be highly important, man. The more creative, the more innovative you are with your ticket sales, with your performances, and how you're able to adapt to this virtual world, you're going to find success a lot quicker. So she uses Stage It, which is a third-party ticket office. There's others as well. You can go on Google and search virtual concerts or virtual ticket sales, and there's a lot of different third-party things you can use to be able to still perform and use this virtual platform to benefit your career. And these are just viable sources that we all have access to. She's an artist that is doing European tours and a lot more established than I am. I've only done a couple performances, and I'm still this emerging artist, but I can use these same tools and get the same value that she does. So please, take this stuff to heart. Sorry, My little menu pops down up at the top of the screen and gets in the way sometimes. There we go. And I'm back. All right. So that was a very innovative way that Ray is using this shelter in place. That was the original, when she first did her first, what do you call it, advertisement for tour. It was when there was a shelter in place all over the nation. And so being able to utilize different spaces in her house was a fun way for her fans to connect with her. Community engagement is at the heart of everything that I do. My performances are always lined with workshops or master classes or talking circles. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Probably my most successful session other than performing is always going to be talking circles. I hold just a natural gift of allowing people to be themselves in the moment. And it allows us all to speak our truth, which can be really powerful, especially for artists, because art and culture create community, so we can build community in everything. And this community engagement and the ways that we'll talk about in the next few slides are beautiful ways to engage with our community so that we can make our pieces more impactful for the communities in which we serve. Some of these types of community engagement are going to be community workshops, art education, special events, pre and post performance discussions. I'd like to introduce you guys to Maura Garcia, non-enrolled Cherokee Mattamuskeet dancer and choreographer. She did a piece that it was about the harvesting season that was ancestral to her people. And she did this in North Arkansas, and the community engagement of this piece specifically was getting the crowd to sign up to be movers and actual dancers in the piece, so that they were there, for such a long period of time doing workshops, master classes and whatnot. And at the end of the week, they did performances in a few different communities, where at the end of the week, each community member got to go up and be a part of this piece if they had come and signed up and practiced to be a part of this. So a very innovative way that she was using dance to get her audience to come be a part of the performance with her, which is always powerful. It gives you, think of that too. If you're trying to fill seats and you're trying to make a living being a performing artist, what are innovative ways that we can fill these seats? So now here she is holding classes for a week, whether they're master classes or whether they're talking circles or getting people up to do dances and whatnot. Now she's got people signed up all week. They're being able to interact with her. So now if you're a good presenter, if you're good with people and whatnot, they like you. Who knows, that first or second day, I've had this happen. We're doing, talking circles and whatnot. Someone felt a relief. They brought a few of their friends the next day. And as you're going on along a week, by the time that performance comes, now the people that are in the dance, they're inviting their family because they're going to be in this dance. They're inviting their friends because they're going to be in this dance. Maybe throughout that week, they invited people to take part. So the people that are involved have even grown. So that grows your audience. So now those ticket sales grow. So this all benefits each other. Just to put that out there. So now co-producing, the beautiful part about co-producing is, and there's pros and cons in all of this, but I like to co-produce with people because often when we're leasing spaces, when we're getting into communities, I may not know everybody in the community, and the space might be a little bit too steep for me, and I may need some help, selling these tickets. There's a lot of work to be done in the performing arts world. So when you can partnership with someone and take away a little bit of this cost, it can make it more valuable in the long run. You don't have to fill as many seats, you don't have to sell as many tickets, and you don't have to pay as much. They can help take some of this risk away from you, which makes things a little bit easier in the long run. Partnerships can provide access to audiences that you never had of. You're partnering with a dancer or a theater group or a troupe, or another artist or a group or a band. Some of their fans have never even heard about you. Maybe they don't know who you are. Maybe it's audiences that you've never served. So now you have access to a whole new audience that you've never served before, and they could be long-term audiences that could buy merch, come to your workshops, come to your talking circles. There's so many different ways our audiences connect with us, and it's always that's like our main goal is as performing artists, growing that audience so that we can make a bigger impact of our circle of influence. You know what I mean? So it's ability to reach those broader, more diverse audiences, you know, sharing that risk that I spoke about, access to space. You might have spaces that you haven't been able to get in, but you're partnering with an artist that has already done work in that space. It allows you that that tie or that connection needed to get into that space that you've always wanted to, you know. So partnering can be of great value sometimes. You know, why seek some of these partnerships? 100, or instead of accepting 100% of the risk and workload, seek a partner to co-produce your work, and that may just be another approach. And here's some of these people that could partner with you: our cultural centers, nonprofit arts groups, libraries, parks and rec, social service organizations, schools, and for me, it was tribal programs. So now we'll get into presenters. I'm working with presenters. Often you can partner with some of these presenters, but most often these are big groups or arts councils, big performance arts centers, venues. They're usually booking you. There's definitely partnerships and the contracts involved and whatnot, but the benefits of working with these presenters is they're going to take a lot of that risk, a lot of that liability. They already have the ins and outs of everything you need to perform, most everything you need to perform in most cases. Again, there's nothing that's 100% in this business, especially in art. So yeah, the biggest thing we got to think about is what are presenters looking for? And this is the age-old question. And it's a question that I always, you know, it's, as an artist, I never understood, like, what are they looking for? Why can't I get in these spaces? What am I missing? You know, so it's nice to have this type of information so that we can better know how to get booked in more places, you know? So, and I can't stress this enough. This whole approach, especially with presenters, this is a long game, you guys. And I stressed it Monday, and I'm going to stress it again, and I'm going to stress it at every meeting that I go to. Building a career as a performing artist has less to do about talent, and it's got more about relationship building. I know multiple artists, that have 3 times, 10 times, 20 times my talent. They got more brand strength. They've been in the game longer. They have more market value than me, but they have less skills in building and maintaining relationships. And this whole performing arts career is all about, you know, relationship cultivation, planting that seed, watering and nurturing that relationship so that it stays fresh and it grows. So yeah, some different approaches to approaching these presenters is one, like relationship based. Maybe you know an artist, or maybe you know a venue owner, or some of their family, or some of their friends. This is a way that you can leverage that connection, that relationship that you already have, into being able to, you know, produce in that space. Maybe another approach is partnering or co-producing with another artist that already has a relationship with that presenting space. Another way is to do great work in front of presenters that you've already worked with, and using the great work that you've already done and the value that you've brought to that space as leverage to communicate with another space. Other presenters will communicate with other venue owners, especially, you know, in these small rural communities that a lot of us come in. Everybody knows everybody, and if you don't know everybody, you know of that business at least. So don't be afraid to ask, you know, past presenters or past venue owners that you've already done work to kind of put in a good word for you. It can always help. And then, you know, another approach is going into communities, like specifically picking communities that you want to serve. And then, you know, the curatorial theme is that you fit that theme for whatever that season of events is, or whatever that series of events is for that venue, especially for, let's say here in Spokane, we got a couple clubs that are more heavily hip hop than other clubs. So because I'm a hip hop artist, those are the clubs that I'm going to go through, and that's like a curatorial theme right there. Is picking a genre that another club already has an audience, they already have a base for, and then it'll help me sell those tickets because that theme is already there and I fit that theme. So yes. Okay, now we'll go into responsibilities of what presenters have responsible for and what performing artists are responsible for. So now the presenter or the event producer, they're responsible for paying the artist, providing the space, carrying out the marketing, and providing backstage support. Just because they're carrying out the marketing doesn't mean that us as artists are off the hook, so to speak. We still have to provide them with the different pictures that will represent our brand well. I've picked pictures for artists when I'm presenting their work or we're partnering, and it was an old picture, and they have a whole new branding strategy right now. So it was really like, as an artist, take control of you sending those pictures, you sending that bio, you sending those 2 or 3 sentences that is really going to pop on an ad campaign, so that you can be a valued partner in this. Because whether or not, okay, you guys are partnering in this performance, or they're a presenter and they're just contracting you as an artist, it's still a partnership. You can still add value to that partnership by giving them the valid pieces that you want, because they're not going to be able to market you in the way that you're going to be able to market you. Like, utilize their resources, but give them the resources that you want them to have. So just a couple tips there. How can we find some of these partners and presenters? Let's identify the places or venues where you'd like to perform. Then you got to do some research. All of this, everything in working down with presenters is going to be research involved. Just going out, researching your audience, researching the spaces that you're in, researching the region that you're in, researching the city that you're in, the town that you're in. Sorry. Oh, man. But yeah, do your research and reach out and communicate. Again, building relationships. Build relationships with the artists around you. Build relationships with your audience, and build relationships with these presenters so that you can know what types of work will go through these spaces with the most success. Our artists' responsibilities, I said, right at the beginning, those marketing materials, yes, they have the marketing plan, but you have the materials in your email, that you have the materials provided. You help bring in that audience. The greatest value you can give a presenter is using every influence you have to market that performance as well. So maybe you know some radio station people that you could do an interview on local radio station, or maybe your friends own a few different kind of podcasts where you can go and do interviews and show your work and whatnot. You definitely have all your social media that you can use, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your YouTubes, your Spotifys, all of these different things. These are all different ways that you can help that venue fill those seats. You as an artist hold a lot of value in that way, because you're the one bringing in the audience. They may have a local fan base or whatnot that goes to that club regularly, but you're the one building your audience for your career. So leverage them to come, and leverage the social media or the ways in which your audience use as well. Not just the way that you do. Think of where your audience is. Some of these small rural areas, it is of value to do something like, we got a newspaper where we come from called the Huckleberry Press, and it goes to like 16 to 24 different counties and whatnot. So if you're doing some rural space stuff, there still is a little bit of value in that print media. Whereas if you're in the city, you're going to be using social media, and you're going to be using, a lot of different aspects and a lot of different kinds. Or you can use your local newspaper, because there's still, here in Spokane, we've got the Spokesman Review. And when I won the Native American Music Award back in November, I reached out to them to see if we can get some visibility to bring some more what do you call that, like artists that are getting accolades in this city, so that there's recognition for art in this city. So that's always a valuable way. So utilize all of the resources that you have to be a valuable partner when it comes to working with presenters. Presenters' responsibilities will be providing the space. They will be paying the fees. They will handle the marketing, the public relations. You give them the pictures and stuff like that. They will be the ones that handle the graphic design and the designing of the posters and the campaign and whatnot, which If you've been self-producing or thinking of self-producing, that's a very time intensive. To be able to do all your own graphics, set up your own show, plus perform, can be very daunting. So be cognizant of your own energy and your own time investment, so that you can still give a powerful performance. And you'll find your limit. You know, I've done full tours, and I've done all the back leg work. And then once I found out I was getting really tired during my performance, or my performance suffered, then that's when I was like, you know what, it's worth me hiring someone to be the day of event producer, or hiring someone to do some of this marketing, so that I can free up some of my own time. Because at the end of the day, if my performance is lacking, I'm not going to fill those seats like I could, you know, because of my time and energy is spent elsewhere. Like at the end of the day, still setting it all up is only one part. Like you still have to sell that performance. Like that's your representation to the world, you know. So make sure that you still have all your energy and all your passion involved for your performance. You know, that's, at the end of the day, that's what's most important. They also handle fundraising, making sure that you know, they work with other individuals, other organizations. And I shared this Monday, I'll share it again. A value in a lot of communities are credit unions, because they're community based, and they do a lot of community led projects and whatnot, and like to get behind them. Sorry. So yeah, that was a couple local credit unions we've leveraged for a few different projects. And when it comes to artist fees, you know, don't forget to negotiate food, lodging, and mileage. This is separate than a performance fee, you guys. Performance fees can be flat rate, and then you say plus per diem for this, and this, for food, mileage, and lodging. And going into becoming a speaker early on, I didn't know any of this, and I thought the honorarium was just everything all included, and I didn't know that I could leverage and say, no, my flat rate is this. This is my performing fee. This is my fee for every time I perform. You still have to cover this, and this, and this. And then you just negotiate. You know, if they're not willing to, then sometimes we have to compromise as artists. You know, so. But don't be afraid to ask. And even down to the last of the signing of the contract, like you have the right to read that contract that they give you and say, no, I'd like this, and this, you know, I would like this to be added. I would like this to be taken away. And that's just the negotiating period. You know, don't be afraid to speak up. Like you have a right as an artist to produce your performance in the way that you see fit, you know. So don't be afraid to compromise, and don't be too hard edged on it either. You know, be willing to compromise, because a lot of times venues really do want to work with you, so they'll find an even ground. Now let's step into touring real quick. I did a 10 event tour in 6 different locations across my whole reservation back in 2017. And I didn't know too much of this section at all. And I kind of just shot from the hip. And I'm so happy that this is here. So for those of us that want to go out and get on the road, those of us that want to hit some different communities, those of us that want to broaden our audience base and whatnot, please take this into account, because it's valuable information. You know, why tour in the first place? You know, we want to broaden that audience base. We want to grow that and get our circle of influence that's even farther out there. We want to connect with like-minded communities, you know, other communities that we don't have in our own community that loves the same type of things and music and performance that you do as well. You want the extended life of your work. Oftentimes we do a piece of work or a body of work and it stays relevant for a matter of time. And, you know, after a while it begins to fall off. The interest in that piece of work, the interest in that body of work begins to fade a little bit. So going out on tour and doing other performances is a way to ignite that flame again, to spark that up, so that body of work that you created has a longer lifespan. And it's to expand your network as well. You know, obviously going out on tour and reaching different communities, you're going to find, even if it's just one person in the crowd that connects with you, that's one more audience person that can buy a ticket down the road, that may, you know, buy a sticker or a t-shirt, that may, like right now, I'm doing a clothing brand partnership with two different clothing brands. And here I was thinking it was going to be a great business move, and it has been. It's been fruitful, but it's helped me just put food on my counter for these months that's been really struggling, and it's allowing me to pay a little bit more in my rent. So some of these times they're not about business expansion and growth, and about survival and making sure that your needs are met. So going into this with a game plan is only going to increase your success. Generate that additional income. You think of when you go out on tour, and we'll get into this on community engagement. It'll go back into it a little bit, but of ways to generate that additional income. Let's say you've got an anchor point down in San Diego and you live up in Washington. If you're from Washington down to San Diego, now you can map that tour down to San Diego, and you can figure out what's on my way there. What are some venues that I can perform at? Maybe I'm not going to get my full asking price because I'm already getting my full asking price down in San Diego. Now let me grow this money and do some pieces for some different communities at a lesser cost. Let them know that, hey, I'm traveling to San Diego. That's my regular cost, but because I'm passing through on this date, I'm willing to do this at a little bit lesser of a cost to bring value to your business and to bring value to your community. The same goes with adding workshops and master classes and these types of things. Let's say you've got that show down in San Diego. You've been doing shows all the way down, and you show up, 4 or 5 days earlier than your show is going to be there, and you're doing workshops and you're doing master classes and you're doing community events for that 4 or 5 days. That may pack the house for that Friday show that you got in San Diego. So there's value in doing this community engagement tied in with your touring. It's only going to increase that additional income that you can bring home with you. And then, of course, like me, I'm an explorer. I want to see the country, and I want to see new people at all times. What kind of works tour? A completed body of work, making sure it's finished. It's always got value for tour. It's got a local and a regional support base. You've got this, these people that support you. Okay, I'm being messaged that I've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm just going to get through this. It's economically feasible and it's portable. Like I myself self-produce, but sometimes if I'm trying to go on the road and I'm doing a whole lighting for stage and sound systems and all that kind of stuff, now I've got to rent a vehicle as well to be able to track that stuff all the way down. So you've really got to see what's most economically feasible, and then a body of work that knows its audience and that it can cross disciplines and sectors is also a great value to know whether or not you have a body of work that can tour. We already got into that. Here's a great checklist to go over, just to ask yourself before you, and what I should have asked myself before I went on tour, was making sure that I had, a majority of these checked off so that I knew I was ready to tour, and I knew I wasn't going to lose money going out on tour. Because that's the biggest thing we don't want to do. We don't want to go out and perform and do all this for the world where we're losing money the whole time. We can't even feed ourselves. Guess what? We're probably going to go get a 9-to-5 or something so that we can survive. And now I'm not a full-time professional artist anymore. I'm doing it part-time as sustainable income, So, yeah, going into this, everything with a game plan. Booking agents and artist managers. The biggest thing I can tell you guys about booking agents and artist managers are your closest relationship. Again, we're getting back into relationship building. We're getting back into relationship cultivation. This is going to be your closest person. They're going to know your ins and outs. The manager is going to do your day-to-day. They're going to handle your press kit and all these different things. Your booking agent is strictly going to do your contract. So they're going to be handling your money. And they're going to be making sure they put these things into the contract. So sometimes they can weasel money out of these contracts that's not going to you. So these two, the booking agent, artist manager, as far as your team that you're building around you, are going to be the most important pieces, and they have to be your most trusted, or you're going to get swindled. So pay attention to who's around you and cultivate those relationships for honesty and trust and support. We won't get too deep into the contracts. These are just basics. And then the new world ahead, here's a couple innovative ways that some performing arts venues, some presenters are presenting their work. You can see on that left picture that they've cordoned some of these spaces off for social distancing. And on the right, they are checking the temperature. So you may want to communicate with your audiences this way as well, so that they know what they're getting into within this space. Another innovative way for presenters to work is doing drive-in theaters, and we have some local ones in rural communities. So don't be afraid to approach these owners of these spaces to partner with them to do some performances and bring your family out, bring your community out, and still be safe doing it in this new world. And then, of course, I won't show the whole video, and this is my last slide, but we are in an incubation period. Many of us aren't able to perform in the ways that we were to perform before COVID broke. And we have this downtime and this period to create new bodies of work, new pieces of work that will be relevant to the times that we're in, that will be relevant to the social justice and injustices that are happening in the world. There's going to be a whole new level of art that's going to be created. So please take this downtime and create and collaborate with other artists that want to do the same, because this is your time that you have access to artists that would normally be touring all the time. You would have any access to them. There's many that are finding worth and finding value that have been out on tour and just simply collaborating with other artists right now. So now is the perfect time to collaborate with that person you've always wanted to collaborate with, to bring to the world, to go out, speak up for yourself, and don't be afraid to collaborate with others. Again, my name is James Pakootas, and thank you guys for allowing me to kind of go through this tech hour and do this section of performing arts again. And I guess we'll get into some Q&A and whatnot, but thank you guys. This was a fun couple days, and I appreciate you guys. Don't be afraid to get out there and perform more when we're able to, but now prepare. Now is the time to prepare. Let's prepare. If you guys have any questions, I'll leave my email and stuff into the live as well as the Zoom. So if you guys have any questions further than this, I'm always open. Like, I'm an open book. Like, what I have is already mine. What's for me is already mine. So there's no competition. Don't feel like there's any stupid questions. Like, I want to help, and if I don't have the answers, I'll find them with you. So we're in this together. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, James. Again, another awesome webinar session with you. I do not have any questions on Facebook Live. I did share your Facebook page on Zoom and in Facebook Live. And I guess we can see if Carrie, who's on our Zoom call, if she has any questions before we wrap up.
No problem. Oh, dang it. I was supposed to send to everybody, all panelists. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I just followed you on Instagram.
Okay, cool.
No, I just think this was really helpful. Della Stump was going to be on here with me. We do fashion shows together, and so it's kind of a little bit different
Yeah, I just got
aspect,
booked.
but still I feel like there was a lot of helpful information for us.
Good. Yeah, let's stay in contact. You got my IG. I got booked before COVID broke. We were supposed to do a fashion show for the Evergreen State College 25th anniversary at the Burke Museum in Seattle. And COVID broke, and now they're still going to have us do it, but it'll be very unique being able to come perform during, like, be a part of the fashion show on the runway, like interacting with the models. It's going to be a very unique experience. So
super. I think Della went to that one. Yeah, I think Della went to that one last year. We both applied for it. I didn't get in, but she did. But yeah, we're kind of starting to do more, and the opportunity we're looking at when doing them locally is asking, we didn't think about local artists. I'm loving that, because we were talking about having local medical staff come to talk to the young women that attend about MMIW issues, like how to stay safe from, rape, sexual contact, being abducted, all these things, like, but we didn't think about inviting somebody like Superman to come. We planned a big one for Crow Fair, and obviously we're not doing that. But
for real.
we're actually going to a virtual show, though, on August 11th at Montana State University. They asked us to come and bring fashions with masks. they're going to do a photo shoot and a virtual show to
awesome.
encourage their incoming students to
Yeah,
wear masks.
I
So
commissioned a bead worker to do a beaded mask for one of my upcoming music videos. So to try to stay relevant with the times too, you know.
right on.
Fashion's a huge part of performing.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Stay in
Part of
touch
every
with
kind.
us.
It doesn't matter which discipline it is. We're definitely
Mhm.
worried about fashion the whole way around the gambit, you know.
Yeah, check out our t-shirts. She has some t-shirts. She kind of does mostly formal wear. I kind of focus on beadwork, and then I do t-shirts too, logo shirts and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna do a photo shoot on August 14th for ourselves for our social media. Like in my back pasture. We thought it would be cool to be like in the back pasture, like where you can't see anything technology, just like in the country. With the
Country and
masks.
wilderness, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool, like a kind of a juxtaposition of not being in the city with masks. But
Yeah. You know, one way you might be able to bolster that audience
yeah.
too is
So
something
thank
that
you very much.
especially with fashion, since you have an expertise in fashion and whatnot, is doing a
Yeah.
work master class in your local school. You'd be
Wow.
surprised who our high school and college students communicate with. A lot of them are sons, daughters, nieces, nephews of you know, some professional people in our communities, and they'll go home and spread that knowledge, and especially if you inspire them and teach them something about what you're doing, having that connection of doing with them always builds that genuine connection a little bit
Oh, that's
faster.
great.
I found that our youth will communicate with a lot of people that I didn't think they would communicate with, and bolster those sales to come up, or those seats to be filled. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Hope your doggy feels better.
Yeah, I got to touch base with him. I don't know what's going on. He must eat something. I keep him on a pretty good diet and everything, so he doesn't get sick very often at all.
Aww. I hope he
Yeah,
feels better. And my mom lives in Spokane, so I come out there a few times a year. Yeah. I was just there, but obviously I didn't go anywhere. She's a little older, so we just stayed home and had, everything brought in. We're not having her leave at all except for doctor's appointments. But I do, it'd be fun to do
I'm also
some stuff with people when I go there, do something.
Definitely. I'm also on the board of directors here in Spokane for One Heart Native Arts and Film Festival.
Okay.
And fashion is always a piece of that. So I left my email here in the Zoom webinar chat, as well as the live on Facebook. So reach out to me and let's communicate. Maybe we're going to be doing virtual this year, but I'll definitely put you on the list of artists that want to showcase and whatnot, and we can get you some visibility here too.
Sweet. One Heart Native Arts Festival?
One Heart Native Arts and Film Festival.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So
great.
Email me.
Have a great afternoon.
All right, definitely. You too.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming as well.
Thank you. Miigwech.
Icha.
Well, very cool. I'm happy we're able to have that dialogue, and there's the connections happening right there. Even though the pandemic is not a great situation that our communities, cultures across the United States and around the world isn't great, it's wonderful that we have a virtual platform to be able to still connect like this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank everybody that was on Facebook Live as well as on Zoom, and of course James, the man, the legend, for sharing his time with us and being so personable and open with his process and your journey and where you're going to be going from here. So thanks again, everyone. We look forward to seeing you soon. The next webinar series will be with Ben Sherman, Oglala Lakota, on August. Let me see. I think I said
Ben, you guys are in store for such a great presentation. Ben is one of my favorite presenters ever. The guy goes above and beyond for every presentation. So I encourage you guys to show up.
Yep, and the registration is up on our website, so feel free to check that out. It's going to be August 10th and 12th. So that's going to be a blast. And also Rolling Res Arts, August 5th, since Cynthia Masterson's going to be on from 7 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time doing a virtual showing of her work and the process that she goes through. It's awesome. Cynthia's
She's a
amazing.
2020 fellowship winner, right?
Yep. So,
This
yeah.
year, awesome. Holding space for our new leadership and cultural capitalists. That's awesome.
Yes, it's exciting, and she's such an amazing human being. So everybody's going to enjoy it. So please join us next week and have a wonderful rest of your week, James, as well as everybody listening and watching.
See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.